Okay, good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for coming out to tonight's event, which is Financial Education Series with TD Bank, a financial three-part series. We kick off today with banking basics, understanding financial needs. My name is Benga Gunjimi. I am the Executive Director of the Nigerian Center here in Washington, D.C. Thank you very much for joining us. Before we go further, just to gauge where we are joining us from, could you please chat in the chat box the location you are joining us from today? That would be wonderful. Okay, I see Washington, D.C., Nashville, Tennessee, Michigan, Greensboro, North Carolina, California, Abuja, Nigeria. This is wonderful. We do have Maryland. We do have a diverse participation. Anyone else that your city has not been mentioned yet and you are here with us, please chat in the chat box the location you are joining us from. That would be wonderful. Um, wonderful, everyone. Thank you so much for doing that. Okay, let us move forward into greatness. And today's class is financial, uh, as part of the first episode of our financial series with TD Bank. We have the honor of Jay, that is going to be our wonderful presenter today, Vice President at the TD Bank, and one of the managers and directors in our region here in Washington, D.C. metro area. You're going to be in excellent hands. When we had this first conversation and I got an opportunity to have a sneak peek into today's, and I was blown away with the wealth of information even I did not know. So we want to thank TD Bank for exposing and introducing this wonderful concepts and education to our community. And what I wanted to do to tell you more about the work of the Nigerian Center, I want to highlight a campaign that we are leading right now called Washington's Prosperity. And we have a short trailer that I'm going to play. And after which I invite you all to join us on social media to see the diversity of the various entrepreneurs we are featuring in this campaign. I'm going to play this 2 minutes trailer right now. We have an opportunity to make America even more prosperous, and immigrants are the catalyst and the conduit for those prosperities.
My name is Ayomide Ibrahim, and I am a face of Washington's prosperity.
I'm Dr. Gina Page, and I am the face of Washington's prosperity.
I am Easy Okwodu, and I am the face of Washington's prosperity.
I am Ifeoma Cleopatra Onya. I am the face of Washington's prosperity.
My name is Tony. I am the face of Washington's prosperity.
I am Benga Ogunjimi, and I am the face of Washington's prosperity.
The message is this: we're all the same. As long as we're all in this world together, created by the same God, we're all here together.
And so rather than looking at immigrants as others, we need to look at immigrants as family, as neighbors, as those who are contributing to the health and the prosperity of Washington, D.C.
There's a reason why we call it the United States of America, meaning we all come from a different part of the world, come united to make America great.
My biggest triumph is being immigrants. I get a lot of inspiration from my community, and I use that to motivate myself.
The greatest challenge as an immigrant is knowing the right place to find that resources that you need, which is why I truly appreciate what Nigerian Center is doing, creating that map, providing those resources for you as an immigrant the moment you step into this country.
Start by supporting immigrant-owned businesses in your community. Consider donating to an organization serving immigrant families and contact your elected officials to support policies that protect immigrants. For more information, visit www.nigeriancenter.org/prosperity.
Okay, so next I want to highlight our upcoming events for us to bookmark and schedule on a calendar. As I mentioned, this is a three-part series. We kick off today, September 16th, with banking basics. In October, we're going to do identity protection, and November will be credit awareness. Please register for the series. Some future installments may be in person or virtual. It hasn't been decided yet, but we really want you all to register. And judging by the diverse national or even international participation of tonight's, we may consider just making it all virtual. But please register to be able to catch all the old series. As you might know, we do walk-in immigration clinic every Thursday from 12:30 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. It's a walk-in service, no application is necessary, and it's a completely free service. If you're not in the Washington, D.C. area, you can still see an attorney, an immigration attorney at a small fee. And the times you see the attorney is not just limited to Thursdays, it's open all through the week. If you go to nigeriancenter.org/immigration, you'll be able to get all the necessary information that you need. We think at this particular times, everyone should know their rights. They should take advantage of resources that are available to them. And if there's any way we can help by providing free legal services, we are happy to get those resources over to you. Next is our tax preparation program. As we recently announced, we have expanded our tax services all year round. So it's not just limited to the deadline of April 15th. If you're in the Washington, D.C. area, you can also walk into the Nigerian Center to take advantage of this. And if you are outside of the metro area, you can also schedule a virtual appointment, and an IRS certified tax preparer would also do your taxes at no cost to you. And lastly, how do you get involved in what we do? We have several volunteer opportunities. If you go to our website, nigeriancenter.org/serve, you may be able to find a volunteer opportunity that you may be able to support us with, whether it is in our policy program, our cultural programs, asset building programs, legal aid programs. We're always looking for volunteers to be able to support what we do. Community partners. Community partners, some of you are here today because a community partner invited you. They are individuals like you and I. They are organizations. They are media organizations, community-based, for-profit, non-profit churches. If you have touch point to any immigrant communities, we invite you to be a part of our community partners so you can help us get the information out. If you are not following us on social media, please, we invite you today to do so. We're pretty active on our social media. We do know your rights on social media, policy updates on social media, opportunities to be involved in what we do, current affairs. So you can follow us on Facebook, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube. I particularly want to highlight our YouTube page. We have a playlist just for legal services that we have done treatment to all immigration pathways. I do say it. I wouldn't say 90%, I would say about 60, 70% of a lot of reasons people come to the center to get legal help. If they would just go to the YouTube page, the lawyers have done several Know Your Rights on that. So follow the page, subscribe to get notified. But importantly as well, please follow our other social media pages if you're not doing so today. So momentarily, those links will be coming into the chat box. Please click on them and you can start to follow us right away. Donation opportunity. We get this question all the time. And our answer is the best way to support Nigerian Center is to be a recurring donor of any amount. It makes so much help as an organization that we can plan on a financial donation that is committed to the organization on a recurring basis. That is a significant help. And oftentimes, when we think about donation, we think about a lot of money. It could be $5, it could be $10. Please go to our donation page. That link will be coming, and you can subscribe or sign on to be a recurring donor. And if you want to start with a single donation of any amount, we will be thrilled and thankful. We are 501c3. Donations to the Nigerian Center are tax deductible. So please consider us as your nonprofit that you partner with to support. I know you serve a lot of organizations and community needs, but if you're not yet a financial supporter of Nigerian Center, please, we invite you to do so today. And I also want to highlight two specific opportunities that may also make donation a little bit easier. We are thrilled, and we recently announced that we are now TD Bank's Affinity Program partner. What this means that if you have a TD Bank account, just let your branch manager know, or your account officer, or just go into any bank and tell them that you want to support Nigerian Center because you are a TD Bank account. TD Bank will make a donation to the Nigerian Center at no cost to you. If you don't have a bank account with TD Bank and you intend to get a new bank account, even wonderful. In the process of opening that bank account, ask the officer about the affinity program. They may ask you for our code. It's on the screen. It's AJ486, and then TD Bank will make a donation on your behalf at no cost to you. Isn't that wonderful? And Jay would speak more about this process. And it really makes my heart smile when people call and say, I just went to TD Bank and that information went through. I gave them your code and they were able to process it. Please, that is one easy way you can support us at no cost to you. Something similar with Walmart that we also have. If you shop on walmart.com, you can also do the same. This is a little bit rounding up, that you go to the store and they ask you if you want to round up your transaction. You can now round up your transaction, and that cents, add up, and those will go to the Nigerian Center. Expect more information about our Walmart Roundup program shortly. That is all the wonderful information I have for you about Nigerian Center. And without further ado, I am so pleased to present to you all Jay from TD Bank to move us further into financial prosperity. Over to you, Jay.
Thank you so much, Benga. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, possibly to some people. Benga, as you know, we're very well represented all over the world. So kudos to you and the Nigerian Center family. Before I start and introduce myself to you, Benga, I want to thank you and applaud you and the Nigerian Center family. I've seen firsthand the work that you all are doing. When you are able to come, if you're not already in the DC, DMV metro area, Nigerian centers all over. All wards are represented, helping folks out, whether you are of the Nigerian diaspora, a country in Africa, or just a citizen that needs help. It's been amazing to see them just ready and willing to help everyone. And the true best, marketing is the word of mouth that you're creating, the firsthand experience, the way that people are passionately sharing that. So kudos to you all, and keep up the great work. Once again, I am Jay Laraque, a VP and community store manager and a community lead for TD Bank in the DC DMV metro area. I have over 20 years of experience in banking, retail banking, marketing, consumer lending, training, which is how I got my start with the bank. And I bring all these skills and more with a level of passion that I believe is necessary when you're discussing banking, when you're discussing finance, and especially these days with everything going on. You know, when I first was introduced to Benga and the Nigerian Center family, I was amazed by how quickly we were able to turn around. I meet with a lot of nonprofits, and many of them have good intentions, but some of them fall through on the delivery. And what I mean by delivery, simply talking to you know, and coming up with a plan, and literally the next day or 2 days after, Benga is giving me dates and things to consider. That's how I know not only are they serious, but they really are passionate, are real, and they'll work with you and for you. So kudos to them once again. Just want to share a little bit more about myself. I mentioned that I'm running a community store. It's a new concept for TD Bank. By the way, for those of you not familiar with TD Bank stands for Toronto Dominion. It is a top 10 bank in the US, and we're primarily in the East Coast. And so we're not in the West Coast, but imagine if, you know, when we grow and we have that opportunity, you'll hear a lot more about us. But once again, we're primarily in the East Coast, and we are a top 10 bank. We are truly America's most convenient bank. We bank human is our tagline. And in many of our locations, we are open the latest and the longest of any bank within the area that we're in. So for example, my particular location, believe it or not, is open 7 days a week. You know, I just wanted to tell you a bit about myself. At this time, I'm going to share my screen and get into the presentation. And hold on one second. All right, I'm going to minimize me if that's okay, because Benga, could you come off here? Would you like me to be on camera for the duration of the class, or you tell me?
That would be wonderful if you can. That would put some kind of cadence and
no problem.
Yeah, to it.
My facial expressions do tend to bring things to life, so no issues there.
Wonderful.
Right.
By the way, there's a comment in the chat box while you put your presentation mode on. Folks are waiting for you to come to Colorado, and they said there is no TD Bank in Colorado.
No, there's no, not yet at least. Not yet. Hold on one second. I'm trying to make this disappear.
Let's try the little icon, hourglass in the right corner, bottom. Keep going towards your left. The icon. And if you can see this, let's allow you to see this.
Hold on one second. Let me try something else. Hold on.
This one right here.
Oh, boom. I'm good.
Yeah.
All right. Can you all see this? Can I get a generic yes, Jay, from someone? By the way, since we like the chat, let's light up the chat right now. You know, banking, you know, it's one thing to have an account, but you actually need money to put it in. So light up the chat. We recently had and I'm just curious where we all are with our financial goals and aspirations. We recently had a $1.4 billion lottery winner in the US. Crazy. Put in the chat what some of your financial goals are if you become a billionaire or whatever you consider rich. Because what I'm realizing, true wealth doesn't always come with a dollar sign. So light up the chat with, you know, what would you do with a whole bunch of money if and when you were to open a bank account? Now, that being said, we're going to get started. Now, this seminar's objectives, basically, when we talked, Benga and I and the team at the Nigerian Center, we talked about what can we do? What kind of classes can we put together? One thing I shared with Benga in 2025, and it's not just an American thing. It's not just a TD Bank thing. Many people don't seem to think that they need banks anymore. We're going to get into that, but many people, with the advent of different ways to move money, to send money, to share money, and things like that, to have money, different vehicles, and in some cases, for the unbanked or underbanked communities, they have help in some cases. However, they come with a certain level of risk. And people just don't seem to think that you need a bank anymore, and that you could just do that. But I'm here to tell you, regardless of the bank that you choose, by the way, I'm not here to talk about any TD Bank products. That's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about banking in general. Many of these things that I'm talking about actually, hold true in many banks, have some kind of mechanisms that do these things. Instruments that can hold money. We all have different, we call them different things, but essentially they're typically the same. So we're going to be understanding the purpose and the benefits of banking products. I firmly believe you need a bank. Whether it's with us or wherever you live, you need a bank. We can no longer rely on the bank of mattress. You know what I mean? Maybe some of you subscribe with that. And we can't just have banks to send, certain products that just send money back and forth to each other. You need more than that. We're going to explain and compare account options, know the importance of understanding your account balance, and leveraging tools available to help you manage your money. That one is probably the topic that I'm going to be speaking very passionate about. All right, let's get into it. You can all see my screen. I just want to make sure you see both sides, that I'm not covering both sides.
We see it.
Okay, awesome. So, apologies. All right. So as I mentioned, this is the benefits I feel of a banking relation. Now, some of this is you're going to be like, Jay, I know this. And if you know this already, kudos to you. Brush your shoulders off. Feel good. All right. If you forgot this or not sure, this is a friendly reminder. There's brilliance and simplicity, but I can't stress enough. I'm with the right-hand column on this one. But for now, no banking relationship, having large amounts of cash on hand makes you very vulnerable to theft or physical loss. Like I said, times are hard in the boulevard, for lack of a better term. Folks are struggling, or folks are trying to hang on to what they have. If you keep a lot of that money on hand, like I said, with the bank of mattress, so you're stashing it somewhere, not putting a large, I think you're doing yourself a disservice. These days, also, at some point, you're going to have to account for that money if you do something with it. So I would strongly suggest that you not have large amounts of physical cash on hand, especially these days where people are hungry. All right. The wolves are out. It also may be difficult, like I said, to pay cash for some things. These days, people want to know where the cash is coming from. And it's not even just $10,000 anymore, which used to be that magic number. A lot of people have to report, or are reporting, whether you know it or not, if you're paying things with large sum of cash. So if you don't want to pop on someone's radar for any possible nefarious activities, especially when you know it's not nefarious, I wouldn't say, paying for things with large sum of cash can be problematic. Check cashing agencies, money transfer agencies often charge fees that can add up, especially if you're in a mode where you're trying to save. So I would strongly, many communities, unfortunately, go to the check cashing route. If it's an emergency, I get it, but that's not who you want to be giving your fees to. You want to keep them. Large purchases for such thing as a car or home can be difficult or unsafe using cash. The days of here's $250,000, $300,000 for a home, bow. That's over. They may not want to take that. There's going to be a lot of questions about that. Obviously, can you pay for your home in cash through a bank, through a cashier's check, things like that? Absolutely, right? But I can't imagine you showing up with 300K, 400K cash and saying, "I want that home with the view." They're going to have some questions. Cars, we've seen cars go up depending on what country you live in significantly. So many institutions require historical bank information to qualify you for these purchases. They want to know where the money came from. Follow the money if you want to know, what's happening. Knowing where to go for financial advice and support can be overwhelming as well. Yes, you can Google many things. I say quite often, the Gen Z generation and certain millennials, you have access to the most information we've ever had, ever. All right. It's one thing to go and find information on what is a bank, right? But it's another thing to have discernment to understand what, when and where to use the said financial advice. Everybody's not on the same level. There's levels in life, and you may be reading up on something that you're not ready for, right? So those are the concerns, if you will, of not having a banking relationship. Now, the benefit of using a bank, I feel they outweigh the other side. Deposit cash into accounts, keep it safe, federally insured in the event of a fire or flood. In this country, and I'm just talking facts, in the past couple of years, we've seen some banks either go under or about to go under. Those folks that were in banks that were FDIC insured, their money was protected. So that's one thing to consider. The event of a fire or flood, can you imagine keeping a stack of money at home or where you live, and a fire or flood happens? Can you imagine that? Good luck with that. You're not getting it back. Checking accounts allow you to make payments in multiple ways, such as writing a check or making an online payment. This is huge, not to mention the fact that it keeps an accounting of the funds that's going in and out your account. I know there's a lot of, I'm sure there's some homeowners, but there's some folks that want to own a home the easy way. By the way, there's a plug for easy. You want an accounting. If you're going to, buy a home, they want to see where did this money come from? How long was it there? A bank can help you show that very easily. Banks offer services like check cashing, money transfers, and much more, often at no additional fee. In terms of the business of handling your money, we can help you do that in an efficient manner. And once again, keep an accounting of it. Banks and credit unions offer loan services to their customers that make large purchases, that are paid back over time. I always say it's important for you to have a relationship with your bank. I'm gonna say it again. It's important to have a relationship with your bank. Now, some of you, and I've heard this before, like, Jay, a relationship with my bank? You want me to date my bank? What are you talking about, sir? Of course not. That's not what I mean. I want you to have, I want the bank that you go to respectfully, once again, whether it's Citibank or any other bank, to know your name, to be aware of what you're doing. My business owners in the house, my folks that are looking to buy homes, you especially, right? You want to start that. You want to say, hey, I'm Jay Laraque, all right? And I want to buy a home, and I want to let you know that I'm going to start that process. Keep me in mind so that when I'm ready to buy a home, you all are there to assist me. That helps. My small business owners, I'm Jay Laraque. I open a business. And as my business grows, I need you to grow with me. I need someone that's going to grow with me. Typically, banks do that. I can't tell you how many business customers I've had that start with, a dollar and a dream, literally. Over time, they build up their business. They build up their coffers. They build up their money. Now they're ready for lines of credit. Now they're ready to purchase perhaps the building that they're in, so on and so forth. That's made possible because you have a banker, an officer of the bank, speaking to your behalf to underwriters, processors, and bank officials to say, hey, no, this is someone that we need to assist. This is someone that we need to help. And bankers are trained and ready to help their customers with their financial needs. We are trained on the latest and the greatest. So, for example, I give you a nugget now. I've had the benefit of speaking to the American Bankers Association on behalf of TD Bank. What was I talking about is how am I getting the unbanked banked? Why? Because at the end of September, U.S. Treasury is going to stop cutting checks. I repeat, U.S. Treasury is going to stop cutting checks. Will they do a hard cutoff? No, they'll work with you. But the idea is that they want you to have an account. They want to be able to put that account in there because they've experienced a ton of fraud. And fraud is going to be something that we talk about as one of the main reasons why I would strongly suggest for you to have a bank account. But yeah, U.S. Treasury is going to stop because of the fraud that's happening. So they want to know that these monies are going into account, and the chances are that would be safer than just sending a check to an address where you're not really sure who that person is. That could be problematic. Who does that affect? Why do you need an account? Who is that going to affect? That's going to affect, unfortunately, the elderly, right? And in some cases, it's going to affect, communities of color in some cases, in particular, communities of low to moderate income. Those are the communities that either can't get bank accounts or are not very trusting of banks, and that might have money going to them that they can't access because they don't have an account. All right. So those are things to consider. Now, we're gonna, like I said, some of this may be a recap for you. And if you already know this stuff, kudos to you. Checking products and services. Checking accounts provide a convenient way for customers to pay bills, deposit income, and write checks. All right. I'm a big fan of checking accounts. One of the most important habits for good money management is to understand your checking account balance regularly. If you have a checking account, you should be looking at it daily. You should be looking at it daily. Some people, you should look at it multiple times in a day, especially if you're awaiting something or you want to make sure a payment was made. You want to track that. Why? Because I can't stress enough, that's probably one of the biggest, I wouldn't say deterrence to fraud, but the sooner you're aware of a fraudulent transaction, the sooner you're aware of any nefarious activity on your account, you can stop it. All right. Reasons you should track your account activity regularly. I'm gonna go to the second to the last. A fraudulent charge or reoccurring charge has been made to your account, especially my business owners. Listen up. A lot of times, if you're busy, especially my business owners, you're handling things. You're handling the business of your business. And a lot of times they're fees, and they're literally like needling you. $5 here, $10 there, $15 there. And over time, they're getting you. And then by the time you stop it, a month, 2 months later, what do you think the bank is going to say? Why didn't you say anything? Why didn't you say anything? A lot of times you can put a stop to it. It's almost an avalanche, especially if your debit card gets stolen. We'll talk about that. It's literally, you can see the timeline. They're in the gas station. They're in the same bar that Benga is in, and they're swiping it up and they're ordering. They're getting groceries. Groceries are a large purchase now these days. And they're swiping, and we could have stopped that, the moment it happened. So I would strongly suggest, and we're going to get into online banking, that you monitor your activities. There could be an error on your statement or in your math. Maybe we owe you money. All right. You forgot to post an ATM withdrawal or a store purchase with your debit or banking account, could be off, right? You want to track it because of the fluctuation, overdraft, when things come out of your account. How many of us have swiped, tapped, and you forgot, and then 2 days later, you're like, what was that? Oh yeah, that's right. I was at XYZ store and it didn't hit yet. All right. Or maybe you really weren't at that store. Right. So the sooner you can do that, be aware of it, the sooner you can stop it. You have a joint account, being aware of your co-owner's spending activity. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been seeing that a lot. Thumbs up in the chat if you are married, if you're in a relationship, you trying to be, or you were in one. or you have family members or folks that you're in business with. This is where I see the most challenges. It's all good. There's a saying about, and I'm a huge Jay-Z fan. Laraque is in the building. I am from Brooklyn, born in Hayes. And shout out to you wherever you're from, wherever you are. I can't help where I'm from. And he has a saying, it was literally it was all good just a week ago. And what he's talking about are problems that could happen in relationships. It was all good a week ago. I can't tell you how many people I've had come to the bank and say, Jay, or one of my folks, Madison or whoever, Gil, why did you let them take the money? And why did you let them take the money? What is it? Oh yeah, you didn't know we're not in business together anymore. We didn't know. Why did you let them take the money? We're separated and we're getting a divorce. Well, you know what we say? We have a saying in the banking industry: when there's a divorce, who gets the money first? Whoever makes it to the bank. That's who gets the money first. If you're on a joint account together, it's your money, it's both of your money. It's both of your money. So if one person comes in one day and takes $1, or the next person that very same day wipes it out, we can't stop that. We can't stop that. So that's probably one of the biggest things we're doing. Things are getting tight. Things are getting real. We see some relationships, business partnerships that start off great, and sometimes they go left, and that's where the biggest problem happens. You can track that. Online banking. I'm a big proponent of online banking. This is how you stop fraud. Ladies and gentlemen, a recurring theme of why I think you need a bank account is because of fraud. Fraud, 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 fraud. There's fraud all over the world right now. Somebody right now is sitting in a living room somewhere across the globe to where you live, figuring out how to get your information, how to get into your account. And a lot of times we don't know them. They say that on social media these days, the majority of just as much of people that are on social media, there are just as many bots trying to get access to your information. You purchase something on one website that may not have the best of controls. They got your information. Information is shared on the dark web, and you don't know it. Online bank, I can't tell you enough. We're on a constant assault of fraud, especially to my seniors and our children, our youth. Those are the most vulnerable, folks, especially our seniors, where they may have dormant accounts. I have, we have seniors. I'll speak up. My grandmother is 94. She's holding on, y'all. She's hanging in there, but 94 is 94. And, I've been doing a lot of the estate planning and I'm sure we've all had to do, some folks have had to do that, will have to do it. It's not fun. It's not easy, but it's necessary. We got to take care of grandma, right? Well, grandma has accounts that she forgot, y'all. She straight up forgot. So now I'm corralling all of her information. Man, it would have been cool if grandma would have had allowed me to access her information sooner. I could have corralled them. I could have put it on online banking and been able to monitor what's happening with her account. For younger folks, it's, they're vulnerable and because of just the amount that they swipe. If you have any children, what's their biggest expense for children? It used to be clothes. Now it's food. And these are ways that, especially if you're working with, you have your child on your account, or if you're working with them to get an account, these are ways you can put a mirror to their face and saying, hey, son, daughter, this is a little too much. Look, where they can track their spending. So I'm big on online banking. And if you don't have it, you need to have it. You need to have mobile banking. You need to have online banking. Can I get a generic yes, Jay, from somebody? Somebody take themselves off mute. Give me a yes, Jay. No? Somebody? Anybody? All right. I'm gonna assume you that's a yes. I'm assuming that's a yes. So online banking is easy to use. It makes banking convenient. It's typically included when you open an account. It's included, but that doesn't mean everyone goes for it. I'm a big proponent of mobile banking, online banking. I'm a proponent of setting alerts, setting balance alerts to let you know when you're under a certain threshold. I'm a big proponent of planning a budget, allowing you to tell you when you get to that budget. I'm a big proponent of monitoring Zelle activity. All right. You get real-time account information. You can view check images, transfer funds between each other, stop payments on checks, pay bills online, and have, once again, an accountant for it. Mobile deposits, a lot of times, many banks have things where you can take a picture of your check and there it is. Set up accounts to receive email alerts or to better manage finances. Another thing that people don't realize is you can put controls on your debit card, meaning that if you going somewhere, you're going out of town, there's a certain account that you don't want to use, you can turn that debit card off. You have someone in your household or maybe you don't want to have access to certain things, you can turn that debit card off right from your mobile banking. You can order a new one if you think fraud is happening. So I can't stress enough the importance of having mobile banking and online banking to help you manage your accounts. All right. Now, debit cards versus credit cards. Some of you may be saying, once again, Jay, we know this already. We know what a debit card is. We know what a credit card is. That's awesome that you know that. Even better. But I got to tell you, some folks are using debit cards like they don't know what it is because they're tapping like it's a credit card. They're overdrafting on purpose like it's a credit card, not realizing that in some cases you may not have overdraft, you may have exhausted your overdraft, and we look at that when you want to take a loan. Because if you can't pay yourself back, how are you going to pay us back? So let's talk about a debit card. Once again, a debit card is a card that transactions automatically subtract from your transaction amounts from your checking accounts. Many of them have a logo that you can tap, the chip, right? We all know that. Interest does not accrue on a debit card since you pay for it each purchase. But what does happen, like I said, be mindful of those of us that either have or don't have overdraft. I've seen cases where I've literally had to talk to clients about considering saving them from themselves, where they've said, Jay, stop the debit card, please. Turn off the overdraft or help me, turn it on and off. And we've had to do that. We've had to turn off the overdraft and once again, to help people from themselves so that if they tap and the funds aren't there, then guess what? The transaction just doesn't go through. Some folks who are responsible rely on that. Some people, especially these days, where I know I'm getting paid tomorrow type of thing. I need the gas. I know I'm gonna tap right now, but tomorrow I'm gonna get paid, and we can make that happen. That's one way to do it. But debit cards, I would say they make obviously paying for things easy. Okay. The challenge is many folks, in particular our younger population, our younger generation, use the debit cards and they mismanage it. And when they overdraft, guess what they do? They just leave it alone. They walk away. And then when they go to another bank, guess what? Depending on the country, depending on the bank, they can see that activity and discern and determine, this is not a client that we want. Okay, we don't do that at TD Bank. I'm not here to plug TD Bank for everything, but I just want to let you know some banks do that, some don't. Then we're going to go to credit cards. Obviously, credit cards are something that many people use, probably too much these days. I think that in the U.S., I've read that we have the most debt that we've ever had in this country. I think it's something crazy like 1.3 trillion. I could be off, but it's a cartoonish number. Because of the times that we're in, many people are using their credit card to pay bills, to pay rent, to pay mortgages, and you can imagine the interest on that. So, but I'm not going to suggest that credit cards aren't important. They are, especially those of us that want to buy a home, especially my business owners in the house. Before you can get that big loan, a credit card is going to help you get to and handle your affairs accordingly, especially for my business owners where, maybe you're not getting, you need to purchase equipment. Maybe you're not getting paid as fast, so you want to put the money out and get it back eventually. A credit card allows you to borrow funds to pay for goods and services. Once per month, the bank will send you a bill with the interest. This is something else I would strongly suggest, that if you don't have a bank account, but you have a credit card, make sure you get the app. And you should have an app for every credit card that you have, oh, by the way. Okay? This too allows you to monitor. Fraud is way, 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 way up for credit cards as well. I have been a victim of fraud recently. Okay? What I did is simply go to, just give you some anecdotal information. I simply went on, I was trying to pay my cable bill, but I had some questions, not cable bill, internet bill. I had some questions. I did the chat. Little did I know that that bot, that chat was hacked and took my information. What I thought was, so, the first fee was like, okay, I looked at that's fine, that makes sense. It was a fee for some services that I did, like changing my cell phone. And then I saw 500, 700, 800, back to back to back. I'm sorry, there's no pay-per-view worth $800 that I would ever do. That was fraud. So I would strongly suggest that if you have a credit card, that you get an app for that as well. Now, this is group activity that just makes more sense in person. And for the interest of time, I'm just going to talk through it. But I promise you, there's a lot of information on compound interest and simple interest and how it's calculated. But let's talk about savings products or services. Savings accounts, unfortunately, is something that we have to convince people to do more these days in banks, because in some cases, people don't feel like they have enough money to save, or they simply don't want to save. But you always got to save something, anything, $1, $5, over time. That compounds over time. It will add up. And also, what's key about savings accounts is because many banks limit the amount of transactions that you can do on them. It's a good instrument to move money over so that you can do but so many transactions a month. Maybe that'll allow you to, since you can't easily access it, since you get your tap, 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 swipe for it, that it'll almost force you to save. But savings accounts offer customers an opportunity to save their money. I would strongly suggest that through mobile banking, you have that. You do incremental transfers over time that'll help you. You can earn interest. Interest rates vary depending on the type of account that you have. In general, some factors to consider are I would say with savings account, the biggest factors to consider are the monthly maintenance fees if you have it by itself. Typically, if you have a checking and a savings account, certain banks will offset the fees. Typically, if you have it by itself, there's going to be some type of fee that you have to pay unless you have a certain dollar amount in there. There are transaction limits. Like I said, some banks will limit you. Well, in this country, they limit you to 6 withdrawals per month on purpose. And obviously, we know that it should be used for long-term savings goals. But these days, long-term is all relative. Because of many people's financial situation, long-term could be 3 months. Long-term could be literally the next bill cycle. So if you have to save yourself from yourself to put money to the side to get to that next bill cycle, maybe that's a way that you can use a savings account. Now, this is the part that in the interest of time, I'm going to have to kind of skip through. This is an algorithm, this is math. Some of you it's past 6. Like, Jay, I don't want to do math past 6. But I will say that this is common now as far as Googling it, looking this up. But simple versus compound interest, many of your banks find out how the interest is accrued. That's what I would suggest here. Is it compound interest? Is it simple interest? Compound interest, in short, is the best interest type of interest you can get, because it's interest on previously earned interest, meaning your interest starts to earn interest too. Interesting, right? All right, that's a corny bank joke. No one laughed, but that's all right. I had to put it out there. Anyway, please Google simple versus compound interest and ask your bank, how are you accruing interest? Speaking of interest, many people, APY, APR, unfortunately, some banks get overutilized bank jargon. I don't ever want you to think that, not know what's happening. But basically, in short, a rate is annual percentage rate when a bank starts to throw jargon like the APR, annual percentage rate or the APR is the cost of doing business, right? It's the rate that they will charge you for the home, for the car, for the personal loan, for the line of credit. All right. Interest rates base earned on deposit account, you can get that, right? And then and then of course, like I said, annual percentage yields are interest earned. Excuse me, APR is the cost that for a loan vehicle, and APY and a percentage yield. When banks use that terminology, that's what you're going to get. So what gives you a yield? What's it gives you an APY? CDs, savings accounts, money market rates. Those are the type of things to get you type of financial instruments that get you some money back into your account. These are things I would strongly suggest that you do. Once again, I'm still having to convince people about direct deposit. I don't understand that one. Why not do it? Some banks will do it where if you direct deposit with them, you'll get your check a little sooner. All right. It's easy. It's efficient. You can make an accounting of it. Funds are electronically deposited into your account. You don't have to think about it. Why give yourself an extra step? Like I said, help yourself, if that makes sense. And have a direct deposit. Online transfers, I'm a big fan of online transfer, online banking and mobile banking. I already alluded to that. That can take effect immediately. Adjust available balance. Deposits, you can utilize ATMs, you can go into the bank, you can link other financial institutions or app to move money over. But in 2025, going on 26, I can't think of a time where they made it so easy through the advent of technology to pay someone, to receive money from someone. We used to have to do wires and all that. There are other ways to do that now. Bank statements. Look, I know you know what this is, but here's two things I want to tell you. Remember that word I mentioned, fraud. There's a lot of fraud around bank statements. What I would strongly suggest is that if you're someone that is comfortable, with technology and using your phone and emails and all that good stuff, I would strongly suggest that you do paperless statements, so that you can see it and just simply print it out on your online banking. Many people are stealing people's mails to get statements to take your information. Anybody, grandma, grandpa, we got to help them. They're the ones that are the biggest proponents of, unfortunately, victims of this, where people are getting into their bank statements and taking their information. Another one that you want to watch out for to help grandpa and grandma, check fraud, where they're leaving checks around or check information. And many homes these days, many people are in multi-generational homes these days with everything going on. Help grandma, help grandpa, make sure they have their information locked up, their bank statement, their checks, their checkbook. Some of them use, different type of savings books to write down what they have. This is where we have to help them. And this is some of the biggest fraud that I see happening, in, unfortunately, within individuals' homes, because the information is out, company comes over, friends come over, family that we may not trust comes over, and then they're like, Jay, how did this happen? All right. So bank statements, read them, look at them, and more importantly, protect them. Overdraft services. This is a big one. Overdraft services definitely help you out when you don't have enough in your account to cover your transaction. So for example, you or someone, you go out, let's say you made a purchase, you went out that same day, and you make another purchase, something came out of your account. So you thought, whether you thought you had $50, maybe you only had $25, you tap, what happens? The bank takes that 25, the 50, and now you are negative $25. If you have overdraft, that will be covered And and sometimes there's a fee, a nominal fee. Sometimes it just will cover for you, and when you get paid, it'll take the money out of that. Overdraft is a good thing, especially in emergency services. But like I said, in some cases, you may have to save yourself from yourself and turn this off. Overdraft, some people use it, they lose track of it. That's something to monitor. But in most cases, folks that are using their account in a responsible manner, this is a no-brainer for me. You have options of how you want to overdraft. Sometimes you can have your credit card as overdraft. I wouldn't do that because that means you're earning interest unless you're paying yourself right back. Some people use their savings accounts as overdraft. Some people use home equity lines of credit. Nonetheless, you should have some kind of instrument to allow you to do that. The bank will charge you a fee for that, and you'll probably be charged each time you do it. Now, if you're somebody overdrafting on small business accounts, be mindful of that. To my business owners in the house, to my entrepreneurs, when it's time to get a loan or a line from a bank, they may look at that. And some banks have an automatic knockout rule like that says that if you have a certain amount of overdrafts, now we're good. But we're sorry. We're not saying no, but maybe we're saying not right now. And so that's something to monitor. Banks have many options to cover overdraft scenarios. Each of them have different pricing. Each of them have different options. Please ask your bank. All right. And this is, we talked about online banking. Many banks have digital tools. There's an app in the app store for virtually any bank that's worth anything these days. Use them all. Use online banking, use mobile banking, get the app for every credit card that you have so that you can monitor your money. As I've said, if you take nothing else from me today, fraud is real. Fraud is happening. Fraud is happening at amounts and levels we've never, ever, ever, ever seen before. And it's the only way almost to stop it is to catch it when it happens. Also, to another best practice to deter fraud, if you do have a credit card, that's where I am a fan. And banks will do it too, but credit card companies, worth their salt, they will fight for you. They will like you can just dispute it right from the app. That's what I did with the situation that I had where someone hacked my account. And at that point, I was able to name this one as fraud, this transaction is fraud, and right from my app, dispute them within a couple of business days. The dispute was won. I got the money in my account. All right. This is the part where I've come to a close. I'm gonna, wait for a moment. In full transparency, though, Ben, I have to leave the location that I'm in. I'm in a branch. They're flickering the lights on me, like as if I'm in the nightclub or something. But I'll take a couple of questions. If not, Ben, you can. I'm only a phone call or email away. If there were some other questions, I can answer that. But that's my information. J is short for Jean. Don't be alarmed. I'm of Haitian descent. If there are any Haitians in the chat or Sakwase, any West Africans in the house, we relate to you very well. A lot of similar foods. So shout out to that. But yes, my email is jean.laraque@td.com. And what I'm very proud of, and Benga's aware of too, which we want to share more, is our TD Bank Learning Center. That if you go, just literally type TD Bank Learning Center on Google and go through and see all of the free information. We also have free financial literacy courses on there. If you're a teacher or just somebody that cares about their community and you're looking for free financial literacy courses, this one is not on it, but we have others that are on there that you could utilize, especially for kids and students.
Excellent. If you have questions, you can use the feature to put your hands up and I can unmute you quickly before you can get a few questions in. Any questions for Jay?
Or a comment. I would love to hear if you thought this was any kind of beneficial.
And I should mention, Jay, while you were presenting, there were a couple of comments and emoji signs reaction. Why do some credit reporting systems not optimize for IT linked accounts? I have trouble in checking my score. Do you understand that question? or should we repeat?
Yeah, please repeat it again. Why do some credit reporting systems not optimizing ITIN linked accounts? I have trouble checking my score. I'm not sure, but I'll take that away. You know, I don't claim to know everything. I do claim to know people that know everything, right? So I'll take that away, and I think that could help, Banker. That's a question that can help a lot of folks. I will take that away. Yeah.
And my question is, can you quickly speak before you leave about the what's it called it, NRA, the non-resident account, particularly for our folks who are still in between status, who might still who may have some legal orders to open a bank account?
Yeah, so I would say in general, I mean, every bank has their threshold, what they would want, but in general, and that's a hot topic, Benga, to your point. And so what I would say is what they're looking for is proof of address, is a big thing. Some kind of a passport, typically, or some kind of identification that will come from an embassy. Typically, banks will recognize some of those, but the big one is that proof of address, and that's where it can get murky. What many banks will accept: keep your leases, make sure that they update. Those of us that maybe you just moved somewhere or into a new apartment, you got yourself settled, start getting mail, your cell phone bill. Things like electric cable. All those things help to tell the story that says, "Hey, I'm legit. I'm here. This is my address." That's typically the challenges that we have, where people can't produce proof of address. And if you're renting from someone, like I said, a lease, have them draw up as official of a lease as they can come up with.
Thank you for that. You have time for one more question?
Sure.
We got to run. There's a question here basically about home ownership, like housing financing. I don't know if you want to wait to that session, but pretty much is, how does TD Bank help with like getting your first home?
Yeah, so that's a whole nother session, Banger. We talked about that. Home is its own baby. We talked about credit and getting into that. But yes, TD Bank in general, if you want to know, does TD Bank lend? Absolutely. TD Bank absolutely lends. What I would suggest is anybody that, considering a loan with us or a loan with any bank, they're lending. Banks are lending, but they are taking a harder look at not just the credit score, but what's in it. So be very mindful of that. And Ben, as you know, we talked about down the line, maybe closer to around tax time when people thinking about buying homes. Typically, we can have a whole class with that.
Excellent.
And different banks. And banks
do
different. I do want to. I saw one quick one. Banks use different. Many will use FICO, and just to let you know, FICO looks at everything, right? But we use Experian for things like home equity lines of credit.
Excellent. Can we all give a virtual round of applause to our wonderful Jay for the insightful presentation? Hopefully we've earned you to come back for the installments of this session. Jay, we release you into greatness and tell them to stop turning the lights on you.
I'm like, I didn't even have a bottle, and I didn't have anything. And they kicked me out. Listen, shout out to everybody. If you are on this call, you're already winning. If you're thinking about your finances, you're on this call, you plan to get on the next one, you're already winning. Shout out to anybody that called in from outside of the country. A pleasure to be on this, and Benga, let's keep making it happen. This was awesome. Okay.
Awesome. And thank you, everyone else. Want to keep it short and sweet. We will be in touch with you via email to give you information about the next steps. Please go to our event page. Mutupa, if you can please put the event link on the chat box. Kindly register for the O series, and then we can let you know about the next installment. With this participation, most likely we're going to move it back. We're going to continue to go online so we can continue the series. We're so thankful, and thank you for holding your attention all through to the end. of the class. We're grateful for that. And we're going to be in touch via email. God bless everyone. Bye for now.